Your words are far more than a string of sounds or letters arranged in sentences. They are the invisible currents that shape how people perceive you, how energy moves around you, and how the world responds to your presence. Every time you speak, you are broadcasting a signal, consciously or unconsciously. And this signal carries your energy, your state of mind, and the subtle messages that define how others experience you. High-value women understand this principle intuitively, and they use their words not as filler or noise, but as tools to radiate strength, clarity, and purpose. When you speak carelessly without thought or awareness, your energy disperses into the atmosphere, blending into the background, becoming something ordinary, something forgettable. But when your words are intentional, when you align what you say with who you are and the energy you wish to carry, something magnetic happens. People listen, they notice, they feel drawn toward you, not just because of what you say, but because of the energy your words carry. Think about the last time you walked into a room where someone spoke with presence. Maybe it was a friend, a colleague, or even a stranger. Their words weren't necessarily grand or poetic, but there was a weight behind them, a resonance that made you stop, pay attention, and unconsciously lean in. That weight, that resonance, is energy. It's not about being loud. It's not about having a flashy vocabulary. It's about alignment, your inner state reflected through your words. High-value women never speak just to fill space. They speak from a place of clarity and self-possession. Their energy is calm yet powerful, intentional yet effortless, and it creates an invisible gravitational pull. This is why some women can say very little in a conversation and still dominate the room, while others speak constantly and leave no impression at all. Your words carry a vibrational signature. When you complain, gossip, or over-explain, you emit scarcity energy, insecurity energy. People can feel it even if they don't consciously register what you're saying. Words are like fingerprints of your inner state. They reveal what you value, what you tolerate, and how you view yourself. High-value women speak carefully because they know that once words leave their lips, they cannot be retracted. Every word shapes perceptions. Every sentence builds or diminishes presence. The careless repetition of societal phrases, cliches, or echoing what everyone else says doesn't just make your communication predictable, it dilutes your energy. Instead of sending a signal of uniqueness and authority, you merge with the background noise and your potential influence becomes muted. Imagine a conversation as a canvas. Every word you speak paints a brushstroke. Ordinary speech paints the canvas in messy, repetitive patterns, leaving the audience overwhelmed or bored. High-value speech paints with intention, selecting each stroke, each color, each movement. When you do this, people don't just hear your words, they feel the emotion, the confidence, the subtle power behind them. This is why energy-driven communication can transform relationships, careers, and social dynamics. A single well-placed word, a measured pause, or a thoughtful statement can shift the mood of a room, command attention, and even spark desire or respect. High-value women avoid reactive speech. They don't allow anger, fear, or insecurity to dictate what comes out of their mouths. Reactive words carry chaos energy, and even if you think you are expressing yourself, you are often dispersing tension and lowering your own vibrational frequency. Instead, they respond deliberately, choosing words that maintain alignment with their inner calm, self-respect, and purpose. Silence is not emptiness, it is strategic energy management. The pause before a word is just as important as the word itself because it signals thoughtfulness, control, and awareness of the power your energy holds. Words are not just tools for communication, they are the bridge between your inner world and the outer reality you wish to create. Another aspect of your words defining your energy is the alignment between speech and action. High-value women ensure that their words reflect reality, not wishful thinking or insecurity. Empty promises, exaggerations, or words spoken from a place of fear immediately betray the energy behind them. When you speak in alignment with your truth, confidence naturally radiates. Others sense this because energy is felt more than it is seen. If you consistently speak from abundance, strength, and authenticity, your energy resonates on a frequency that attracts alignment, people, opportunities, and situations that mirror the value you hold. Conversely, if your words are inconsistent, filled with self-doubt, or shaped by a desire to please, your energy scatters and others unconsciously mirror that uncertainty. Energy is contagious, and your words are the medium through which it flows. A high-value woman does not need to dominate a conversation or speak excessively. She communicates with precision, intent, and awareness of the emotional resonance her words carry. Every sentence becomes an energetic footprint, leaving a lasting impression on those who hear it. Even in silence, when others are speaking, the way she listens, nods, or responds with minimal but intentional words reinforces the power of her energy. People naturally want to engage, connect, and be influenced because they unconsciously feel the grounded, radiant energy emanating from her communication. Understanding that your words define your energy is not about suppressing yourself or avoiding self-expression. It is about refinement, awareness, and intentionality. It is the conscious practice of speaking in a way that elevates your presence, attracts respect, and communicates value without the need for exaggeration or force. Every interaction is an opportunity to project energy through your words. Every conversation can be transformed into a platform for influence, magnetism, and alignment with what you desire. High-value women treat their speech as a sacred tool. They don't waste it on echoing others, whining, or over-explaining. They know the weight of each syllable, the ripple effect of each phrase, and the subtle power of energy carried through carefully chosen words. When you begin to view your words as carriers of energy rather than mere communication, everything shifts. You stop speaking for validation. You stop over-explaining, justifying, or participating in ordinary chatter. Your speech becomes deliberate and your energy becomes palpable. People feel it instantly. Opportunities align effortlessly because energy always attracts its match. Conversations stop being mundane, they become arenas of influence. Your presence is no longer just seen, it is felt, and your words become the signature of your energy, echoing far beyond the immediate moment and leaving impressions that last long after the conversation ends. Authenticity is one of the most powerful tools a woman can possess, yet it is also one of the hardest to practice consistently. From the moment we grow up, society teaches us to seek approval, to mold ourselves into forms that are acceptable, admired, or liked by others. We are conditioned to smile when we don't feel like smiling, to agree when we secretly disagree, and to follow patterns of behavior simply because they are expected. This constant pursuit of approval comes at a tremendous cost to our energy, our presence, and our ability to attract the right people and opportunities. High-value women understand that authenticity is more valuable than approval. They know that when you bend to please others, you compromise your energy, dilute your impact, and lose the magnetic power that comes from being unapologetically yourself. Approval is temporary, conditional, and fleeting, but authenticity is permanent, magnetic, and transformative. When you speak or act from a place of authenticity, you are communicating something that goes beyond words or gestures. You are signaling to the world that you respect yourself enough to honor your truth, that you do not need validation to feel worthy, and that your energy is too precious to spend on performing for someone else's comfort. Authenticity carries a frequency that people cannot ignore. It commands attention without effort. It inspires trust without explanation. And it naturally filters out those who are not aligned with your energy. In contrast, seeking approval keeps you tethered to the opinions, judgments, and expectations of others. It is exhausting because it requires constant vigilance, monitoring reactions, calculating responses, and shaping yourself into a version that will be liked or tolerated. It is a life lived outside of yourself, always reacting rather than creating, always bending rather than standing tall. High-value women never sacrifice their authenticity for temporary comfort. They understand that saying yes when they mean no might avoid confrontation in the moment, but it chips away at their integrity, their self-respect, and the unique energy they carry. Every time you seek approval over authenticity, you are broadcasting scarcity energy, the subtle vibration that you are dependent on others for validation. And energy is felt even if it is not spoken. People can sense when someone is performing, faking, or hiding behind layers of what they think others want to see. In contrast, authentic energy is magnetic because it is rare, it is real, and it is unshakable. It does not need reinforcement or applause. When you embrace authenticity, you communicate confidence, strength, and self-possession. You send a silent message that says, I know my worth, and I do not require permission to exist as I am. Authenticity over approval is not about being confrontational, rude, or intentionally provocative. It is about alignment, ensuring that your thoughts, words, and actions reflect your inner truth. High-value women speak their mind with grace and firmness. They make choices that honor their values, even if those choices are unpopular. They set boundaries without guilt and express themselves without fear. There is a subtle power in being unapologetically yourself because it is rare, refreshing, and inherently magnetic. Most people spend their lives performing, shaping themselves for approval, and seeking validation from external sources. When you step away from that pattern and embrace your authentic self, you immediately stand out. Your energy shifts and the world responds differently. People begin to respect you, notice you, and even follow you, not because you are louder or flashier, but because your alignment with yourself radiates a magnetic authority. A critical aspect of authenticity is the courage to be vulnerable in ways that matter without seeking affirmation for it. Authentic women do not overshare for the sake of attention, nor do they hide their emotions out of fear of judgment. They acknowledge their feelings, express them thoughtfully, and communicate from a place of inner clarity rather than social obligation. Vulnerability is a tool, not a weakness. It signals depth, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness. When paired with authenticity, vulnerability creates profound connections because people instinctively feel the alignment between what is spoken and what is real. Conversely, when vulnerability is performed to gain approval through exaggeration, manipulation, or forced openness, it carries dissonant energy that repels rather than attracts. High-value women also understand that authenticity is a form of protection. By being true to themselves, they naturally attract the people, environments, and opportunities that resonate with their energy, while repelling those that do not. Seeking approval, on the other hand, draws in people who are only interested in the version of you that conforms, pleases, or entertains them. These relationships, whether personal, professional, or social, are shallow and draining because they are based on a false representation. Authenticity filters life. It keeps your energy clean, your intentions clear, and your influence strong. Every interaction, every word, and every decision is measured against one question. Does this align with who I truly am? If the answer is yes, it flows effortlessly. If no, it is let go without regret or overthinking. Authenticity also fosters internal peace. When you stop seeking approval, you stop living in a state of constant comparison, doubt, and anxiety. Approval is external, conditional, and unpredictable. It can vanish at any moment. Authenticity is internal, consistent, and grounded in self-respect. It frees you from the exhausting mental gymnastics of trying to be what everyone else wants you to be. Every choice, every conversation, and every expression becomes an opportunity to reinforce your own power, your own presence, and your own magnetic energy. The world may not always applaud, but it will notice. People will sense your strength, your alignment, and the quiet authority of someone who does not bend to the whims of others. Choosing authenticity over approval is not a one-time act. It is a continuous practice. It requires reflection, self-awareness, and the courage to reject the easy path of conformity. It means identifying the areas in your life where you have been bending for others, over-explaining yourself, or saying yes to things that do not serve you. It means observing your language, tone, and energy in conversations and recognizing where you may be unconsciously seeking validation. High-value women do this consistently because they know that their energy is sacred, their words are powerful, and their presence is defined not by external approval, but by internal alignment. Silence is one of the most underestimated tools a high-value woman can possess, yet it is also one of the most powerful. In a world that rewards noise, chatter, and constant over-communication, the ability to remain silent is a rare and magnetic skill. Most people speak to fill space, to avoid discomfort, or to ensure they are noticed, but high-value women understand that silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It is intentional. It is a form of energy that communicates confidence, self-possession, and control without the need for explanation or justification. Silence is the pause between words, the measured breath before responding, and the conscious decision to withhold commentary until it carries weight. When you learn to embrace silence, you elevate your presence, amplify your energy, and create a magnetic pull that draws attention, respect, and curiosity toward you. Silence communicates more than words ever can. When someone listens to you, they are not only processing the content of what you say, but also the energy behind it. A high-value woman understands that words are temporary, but energy is lasting. By speaking less, she allows her presence to speak for her. The quiet moments in a conversation, the pauses between sentences, the deliberate delay in response, all of these are signals of thoughtfulness, awareness, and control. Ordinary speech spreads energy thin, it dissipates presence and reduces the weight of what is said. Silence, on the other hand, concentrates energy. It is a form of unspoken authority that forces others to pay attention, to lean in, to wonder, and to respect the space you occupy. There is immense power in the ability to remain calm and silent in situations that demand a reaction. Most people respond impulsively with words that carry emotion, insecurity, or the need to be heard. High-value women, however, understand that reaction is energy lost. They do not feel compelled to justify themselves, explain their choices, or defend their worth to anyone. Silence in these moments is not avoidance, it is strategic. It demonstrates that your energy is untouchable, that you are grounded in yourself, and that no external drama can dictate your state of being. The world often interprets silence as confidence, wisdom, and composure because it is difficult to maintain. People unconsciously respect those who do not seek validation through words, because such people clearly possess inner certainty. Silence is also a form of protection. It shields your energy from being misused, misinterpreted, or drained by others. When you speak impulsively or over-communicate, you give away fragments of your power, and those who do not have your best intentions can exploit them. High-value women recognize the value of their energy, and they refuse to disperse it carelessly. Choosing when to speak, what to say, and how much to reveal ensures that every word carries weight. By mastering silence, you create an invisible armor around your energy, one that both protects and amplifies your presence. People instinctively sense this power, and it commands respect without a single aggressive act. Another aspect of silence is that it creates intrigue. Ordinary speech removes mystery, leaving little room for curiosity or fascination. When you share everything, when you constantly explain or justify yourself, you leave nothing for the imagination, and your energy becomes ordinary. High-value women speak sparingly, intentionally, and with purpose, creating an aura of mystery and depth. This intrigue is magnetic because human beings are naturally drawn to what they cannot fully grasp. Silence allows others to wonder about your thoughts, your emotions, and your intentions. It makes your presence unforgettable because people are subconsciously compelled to fill in the gaps that your measured silence leaves behind. Silence is also a teacher of self-awareness. When you resist the urge to react, to speak impulsively, or to conform to the noise around you, you cultivate a deeper understanding of yourself and your energy. You begin to notice the patterns of how people respond to your words and how your energy shifts in different environments. You learn to observe without judgment, to respond with intention, and to align your communication with your inner state. High-value women practice this consistently because they understand that mastery over words is mastery over presence. By embracing silence, you develop clarity of thought, emotional resilience, and the ability to navigate any interaction with poise and control. Silence also communicates boundaries. By not filling every space with words, you signal that your energy is valuable, your time is precious, and your attention is not freely given. People learn to approach you with care, to engage with respect, and to appreciate the weight of your presence. Over time, silence establishes a reputation of influence. You do not have to demand attention because the very act of withholding speech creates demand. It teaches others that your engagement is a privilege, not an expectation, and that your energy is not for casual depletion. High-value women also understand that silence can be a form of influence. When others are speaking, listening in silence allows you to understand their motives, energy, and intentions without revealing your own. You absorb information, process dynamics, and respond with precision rather than impulsivity. This strategic use of silence positions you as someone who is thoughtful, discerning, and aware, qualities that naturally attract respect, trust, and admiration. People instinctively feel that your words are not just filler, they carry weight because they are delivered from a place of contemplation and energy alignment. Silence is not merely the absence of sound, it is a powerful statement of presence. It signals that you are in control of yourself, that you value your energy, and that you are unshakable in the face of external chaos. It forces others to meet you at your level, to step into alignment, or to step aside. The world is full of people who speak constantly, react impulsively, and broadcast noise in the hope of being noticed. High-value women rise above that noise by cultivating the art of silence, by allowing their energy to speak louder than words, and by mastering the magnetic power that comes from stillness, composure, and intentional presence. Clarity trumps quantity in every aspect of life, especially when it comes to communication, presence, and influence. High-value women understand that it is not the volume of what you say that commands attention, but the precision, intention, and alignment of your words with your energy. Speaking too much, over-explaining, or trying to cover every detail dilutes your impact, disperses your energy, and makes your presence ordinary rather than magnetic. Clarity is power because it cuts through the noise of the world, focuses attention, and signals confidence. When you are clear, people instinctively listen, understand, and respect you. When you speak too much, people start to tune out, distracted not by what you are saying, but by the lack of discernment in your speech. High-value women master the art of communicating with precision, and they understand that less is often far more than more. Clarity begins with thought. Before a word ever leaves your lips, it should be grounded in understanding, intention, and purpose. High-value women do not speak impulsively or reactively. They pause, consider, and align their words with the energy they want to project. Every sentence carries meaning, and every phrase is designed to serve a purpose, whether it is to inspire, influence, or establish presence. Ordinary speech is scattered, reactive, and full of filler that carries no weight. When you focus on clarity, you remove unnecessary words, opinions, or explanations, allowing your energy to shine through without distraction. Your presence becomes commanding not because you dominate the conversation, but because every word you speak resonates with intention and authority. Clarity trumps quantity because it establishes trust. When people interact with someone who communicates clearly, they know where they stand. They do not have to decipher hidden meanings, filter through excessive explanations, or second, guess the intention behind the words. Clear communication demonstrates self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and self-respect. It tells others that your energy is not disposable, that your attention is valuable, and that your words are deliberate, not casual. High-value women understand this principle intuitively. They know that people unconsciously measure the weight of their presence by the thoughtfulness and precision of their speech. When clarity is prioritized over quantity, influence is naturally amplified because people listen carefully, knowing that your words are not wasted on trivialities. Another aspect of clarity is the alignment between your words and your actions. High-value women understand that communication is not just about what is spoken, it is also about the energy, intention, and consistency behind it. Speaking a lot without alignment creates dissonance. Your words say one thing, but your energy, behavior, or body language says another. This disconnect is immediately felt and diminishes your influence. Clarity requires synchronization. Your thoughts, your speech, and your actions must reflect the same truth. When you master this alignment, people not only listen, they feel your presence, your authority, and your value. The impact of a few clear, intentional words far outweighs pages of speech that scatter energy and confuse perception. High-value women also know that clarity is magnetic because it creates space for reflection and curiosity. When you speak too much, the conversation becomes cluttered, predictable, and easily forgotten. Clarity leaves space for others to process, feel, and internalize your message. A few well-chosen words delivered with confidence and calm can spark thought, reflection, and even transformation in those who hear them. This is why minimalism in communication is so powerful. It is not about being silent, it is about speaking with intention, using every word as a tool to project presence, influence, and value. People are drawn to those who can articulate their thoughts without over-explaining because it signals mastery, self-possession, and energy control. Quantity often comes from insecurity. When people speak excessively, they are trying to prove something, fill a void, or seek validation. High-value women recognize this instinct and deliberately choose the opposite path. They do not feel compelled to justify themselves, explain every detail, or cater to the expectations of others. They communicate from a place of abundance, knowing that their presence, energy, and clarity are enough. When you stop seeking validation through verbosity, your words carry more weight, your energy is preserved, and your influence is amplified. Quantity may draw attention temporarily, but clarity builds respect, trust, and lasting impact. Clarity also enhances emotional influence. When your words are precise, your audience feels understood, guided, or inspired without distraction. Emotions respond to energy more than content, and clarity aligns both energy and content for maximum resonance. A high-value woman who communicates with clarity does not manipulate or coerce, she influences through alignment. Every word reinforces her presence, projects authority, and conveys energy. Ordinary communication, in contrast, scatters energy, confuses emotion, and creates unnecessary friction. By focusing on clarity, you reduce misunderstandings, foster alignment, and create interactions that feel intentional, effortless, and magnetic. Another way clarity trumps quantity is in decision-making and boundary setting. High-value women communicate boundaries with concise, assertive language that leaves no room for debate or manipulation. Instead of explaining, apologizing, or negotiating endlessly, they state their truth clearly. This kind of communication signals strength, decisiveness, and self-respect. People immediately recognize the weight of your energy, the certainty in your presence, and the intentionality behind your choices. Speaking less does not mean lacking influence. It means projecting influence efficiently and effectively. Every word becomes a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your presence, and every pause enhances the power behind your communication. Clarity trumps quantity because it reflects inner confidence. When you speak without clutter, hesitation, or over-explanation, you reveal an unwavering belief in your value and your truth. People do not need to see loudness, flattery, or excessive dialogue to recognize power. They feel it in the calm decisiveness, the intentional word choice, and the magnetic resonance of energy that aligns with thought and speech. Ordinary speech seeks external approval, clarity reflects internal alignment. Ordinary communication disperses energy, clarity concentrates it. Ordinary voices fade into the background, clarity commands attention, inspires respect, and establishes presence. High-value women understand this principle deeply and apply it consistently because they know that influence is not measured by quantity, but by the precision, alignment, and intentionality of every word. Most people speak to impress. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that being heard, being liked, or being admired requires words that are flashy, persuasive, or attention-grabbing. We speak to show how much we know, to gain approval, or to prove our worth to others. Yet, in reality, this approach disperses energy, attracts shallow connections, and diminishes presence. High-value women understand a profound truth: influence is far more powerful than impression. Influence shapes minds, hearts, and energy. Influence leaves an impact that lasts. Impression fades the moment attention shifts. To speak to influence rather than impress is to align your words with purpose, intention, and the energy you wish to project. It is to communicate from a space of clarity and power, rather than insecurity or desire for validation. Influence begins with alignment. High-value women speak from a place of internal authority. They know who they are, what they stand for, and the energy they carry. Their words are a reflection of their inner state, not an attempt to shape how others perceive them artificially. To influence is to connect authentically, to guide subtly, and to project energy that resonates with those who are aligned with your frequency. When words are used merely to impress, they are loud, performative, and often disconnected from truth. People instinctively sense this. They hear not the wisdom or value, but the insecurity and desire beneath it. Influence, on the other hand, is invisible yet tangible. It works quietly, efficiently, and magnetically. A high-value woman's influence is never forced. It flows naturally from the authenticity and energy embedded in her speech. Speaking to influence requires intention. Every word should serve a purpose, whether it is to educate, inspire, challenge, or clarify. Words are tools, not toys. Influence is deliberate, it is strategic, it is meaningful. High-value women choose words that reflect their vision, values, and presence. They do not over-explain or embellish to win admiration, because influence does not rely on quantity or theatrics, it relies on resonance and alignment. When you speak with intention, you shape the emotional and mental landscape of the conversation. You guide thought without coercion, you inspire reflection without force, and you command attention without seeking it. Influence is subtle yet powerful, and it leaves a lasting impression precisely because it is not a performance designed for temporary applause. Impressing, in contrast, is rooted in insecurity. When people speak to impress, they react to external expectations, worry about perception, or try to validate their worth. These words are often reactive, scattered, and inconsistent. They reveal the desire to be liked or admired rather than the desire to convey truth and presence. Over time, the energy behind words aimed to impress becomes exhausting, both for the speaker and the audience. Influence, however, is grounded in self-possession. High-value women speak not because they need approval, but because their presence and energy carry weight. Influence emerges when words reflect alignment with inner truth, when the tone carries calm confidence, and when the content mirrors intentionality. Listening is a critical component of influence. Speaking to impress often prioritizes sound over substance. It prioritizes being heard over hearing others. Influence, however, flows from understanding as much as expression. High-value women listen with full attention, absorb the energy and intentions of others, and respond thoughtfully. Their words then carry context, precision, and relevance, which exponentially increases the power of their communication. Speaking to influence is not a monologue. It is a conversation of resonance where energy, intention, and awareness intersect to create magnetic presence. The act of listening before speaking demonstrates self-possession, strategic energy use, and emotional intelligence, all qualities that amplify influence. High-value women also recognize that influence is long-term while impression is fleeting. Words spoken to impress may draw attention for a moment, but they rarely create lasting alignment. Influence, however, shapes perception, fosters respect, and cultivates connection. It impacts how people think, feel, and respond, often subtly but profoundly. A single carefully chosen statement, a pause that signals contemplation, or a reframed perspective can shift energy and perception in ways that shallow performances never can. Influence is measured not by nods, applause, or visible approval, but by the ripple effect it creates over time. It is enduring because it is authentic, intentional, and aligned. Another dimension of speaking to influence is restraint. High-value women understand that energy is a finite resource and that every word carries weight. They do not over-explain, embellish, or add unnecessary commentary to prove value or expertise. Influence thrives in brevity, clarity, and precision. The less you scatter energy, the more concentrated your presence becomes. When you pause, listen, and speak selectively, your words carry authority. People lean in naturally, drawn by the resonance of energy behind your speech. Speaking to impress often ignores this principle. It favors noise over impact and popularity over alignment, resulting in diluted energy and fleeting attention. Influence also requires emotional awareness. High-value women modulate their tone, pace, and choice of words according to the energy of the moment and the dynamics of the interaction. They understand that influence is not about dominance or manipulation, it is about alignment of energy and message. Words are not meant to inflate ego, but to create connection, clarity, and resonance. By speaking from awareness rather than desire for approval, influence naturally emerges. People respond to energy first, content second, and intent last. High-value women understand this hierarchy and structure their communication accordingly, ensuring that their words always serve the energy and intention they wish to project. Finally, speaking to influence rather than impress cultivates trust. When people sense authenticity, alignment, and intentionality in communication, they are more likely to listen, engage, and respect boundaries. Influence is sustainable because it is not dependent on constant validation or attention. It is rooted in presence, energy, and clarity. People remember, feel, and internalize it. Words spoken to impress may fade as quickly as they are heard, leaving no resonance, no trust, and no connection. Influence, however, lingers, shaping perception, cultivating respect, and leaving a lasting impression that does not require applause to validate it. Confidence is more than an attitude. It is a presence, an energy, and a frequency that communicates itself even before you speak. High-value women understand that words alone do not define influence or authority. The energy behind the words, the way they are delivered, and the alignment with one's inner state are what truly matter. Embodying confidence in speech is the practice of letting your inner certainty reflect in your voice, tone, pacing, and posture. It is about speaking with awareness, intention, and calm authority, projecting energy that resonates with others without the need for over-explanation, validation, or embellishment. Confidence in speech is magnetic because it signals self-possession, integrity, and energy alignment, the invisible cues that people feel more than they consciously observe. Confidence is grounded in self-respect. A woman who embodies confidence in her speech does not apologize unnecessarily, hedge statements with uncertainty, or over-justify herself. She communicates from a place of alignment, knowing that her thoughts, experiences, and perspectives carry value. This does not mean she is arrogant or dismissive. It means that her energy is clear, centered, and intentional. Every sentence she utters reinforces her presence, projects authority, and communicates that she is grounded in herself. People sense this energy instinctively. Confidence does not need to be loud or performative. It is measured, consistent, and unwavering, and it radiates in the subtleties of speech. The calm pause before responding, the precise word choice, the deliberate pacing, and the controlled tone that communicates certainty without aggression. High-value women also understand that confidence in speech is inseparable from clarity of thought. Confidence is not faked. It is a reflection of preparation, self-awareness, and alignment with one's truth. Before speaking, high-value women process their thoughts, filter distractions, and ensure that their words reflect both intention and insight. This preparation allows them to articulate ideas with precision, influence effectively, and maintain authority even in challenging conversations. Confidence emerges when there is alignment between thought, energy, and expression. When this alignment exists, speech becomes an extension of presence itself rather than a performance designed to impress. Words flow from authority, not insecurity, and the audience senses the resonance. Another dimension of embodying confidence in speech is mastery of tone and energy. The same words can carry different energy depending on how they are delivered. High-value women modulate tone to reflect calm assurance, strength, and presence. They avoid high-pitched urgency, reactive anger, or anxious repetition because these diminish authority and scatter energy. Instead, they maintain a measured, resonant tone that conveys certainty. Confidence in speech is less about what is said and more about how it is said. The energy behind the words communicates power, self-respect, and clarity in ways that logic or volume alone cannot achieve. People instinctively respond to energy before they respond to content, and high-value women leverage this subtle yet powerful dynamic to influence, inspire, and command presence. Body language complements confident speech. The posture, gestures, facial expressions, and eye contact of a high-value woman reinforce the energy of her words. She does not shrink, fidget, or overcompensate with unnecessary movements. Instead, she occupies space with intention, aligning physical presence with verbal expression. Confidence is a total embodiment. It cannot be fully conveyed through words alone. The combination of posture, breathing, and vocal control creates a holistic signal of authority and presence that commands attention effortlessly. People respond to the congruence of energy and speech because it signals alignment, self-possession, and inner certainty. Confidence also manifests in restraint. High-value women do not feel compelled to fill silence with chatter or to over-explain themselves. They know that their presence, energy, and intentional words carry weight. Speaking less but with precision amplifies authority. Every word becomes meaningful, every pause intentional, and every sentence a reflection of self-respect. Restraint signals that your energy is too valuable to waste, that your voice is deliberate, and that your presence cannot be diluted. People unconsciously recognize the difference between someone speaking from insecurity and someone speaking from aligned confidence, and they gravitate toward the latter because it communicates stability, strength, and magnetism. High-value women embody confidence by accepting and owning their unique voice. Confidence is not about mimicking others, using flashy language, or projecting an image that does not reflect reality. It is about embracing the natural tone, rhythm, and cadence of your speech, allowing your true self to shine through every word. Authentic energy resonates more powerfully than artificial charm or forced eloquence. When a woman speaks with her authentic voice, aligned with inner certainty, her words carry a resonance that impresses, influences, and leaves lasting impact. Authentic confidence is magnetic because it signals self-possession and energy alignment, qualities that are deeply attractive and compelling. Confidence also requires emotional awareness and regulation. High-value women do not let insecurity, anger, fear, or impatience dictate speech. They are aware of their emotional state and consciously choose how to communicate in alignment with their presence. This does not mean avoiding emotion. Rather, it is about expressing emotion with control and intention. Confidence in speech allows emotions to be conveyed authentically without scattering energy or undermining authority. A measured response carries influence, a reactive one carries volatility. Mastery over emotional energy in speech transforms communication from ordinary to magnetic, demonstrating self-possession and deep inner alignment. Finally, embodying confidence in speech is a continuous practice. It requires awareness, reflection, and intentionality in every interaction. High-value women consistently monitor their words, tone, energy, and alignment, ensuring that they communicate from a place of self-possession rather than insecurity or desire for approval. Confidence in speech is not performative. It is a natural extension of the inner state. It is cultivated through experience, self-reflection, and mastery of energy. When consistently embodied, it becomes effortless. People respond instinctively, feel drawn to your presence, and recognize authority without the need for embellishment over explanation or noise. Confidence in speech transforms ordinary interactions into opportunities for influence, alignment, and magnetic connection.